Talofa kia ora and welcome back to Freshening in Rugby. I know it's been a while, but I'm always grateful to be back. Thank you all for still standing by my side, and it's exciting. Looking at this year and the things that I really want to achieve, I hope that the YouTube channel is definitely one of those things that I could invest my time in a bit more. Now that I might have, a little bit of more free time in my hands, so hopefully I'll be able to get around and definitely building my YouTube channel. I guess going back and forth on what really my niche is and why I'm doing this. I remember the first time I did say, back in one of my videos was, I wanted to use this as opportunity to explore new talent and to get new talent players to be recognized, especially in my community, and that still is something that I'm looking forward to do, and hopefully having the opportunity to speak to those young fellas and have a good talk with them, or interview, or whatever you call it. I'm still keen on doing that and going down that path. And then I think there was one time that I was just thinking of maybe just doing review and seeing my reactions based on what I see and what I could learn from as a coach. So that was another thing that I picked up, and then I was like, man, it's sort of like YouTube, sort of like everywhere at this stage, still trying to find a niche, and so I guess I'll be still discovering what it is that I really want to do. But definitely reaction to games is definitely something that I'm wanting to do. I was also advised to maybe do live. I don't even know how to do that yet, so I'll get around to that. Especially when, if you don't know why I'm looking down, there's a game that I actually want to react to, which I've got paused on the screen here, but I'll do that later. But yeah, thinking back when I was really young in the islands, I remember there was my favorite commentator, rugby commentator. His name was Pat Mamaia. Now, if you know Samoan, you probably don't know him, but man, he was excellent. He had knowledge of the game, and the way he looked at it and the way he commentated was so fast. It was as if you were watching the game. And I was just thinking about lately, about what niche that I want to do, and I was thinking, man, what about commentating about rugby? I was even thinking I have a friend that actually works there, or sort of the boss at a radio station, and I was thinking, I might want to go and do it on there. And then I was thinking, well, radio, not many people listen to radio these days. Everyone is sort of, on media, on phones or YouTube or whatever it is. The world has definitely changed. So back in those days, when Pat Mamaia was the commentator, man, I swear it was like you were at the stadium, and so you didn't really miss much because everything was well explained. Now, I'm not gonna be, claiming myself to be anywhere near about that legend, but I was just thinking about it. That could be something that I could be really interested in. So if you hear me more towards commentating about games, then it's probably what I favor much. But at the same time, I'm trying to have my coach hat on, as everyone does, or put your referee hat on, or whatever it is, or whatever it is that you want to come across when you watch rugby. So I'm really stoked, to give this a go and to see how I feel. So I guess starting off, fresh this year, I had a serious conversation with my son. As a island parent, we have a lot of expectations on our kids, especially if they're rugby players. You might relate to this, you might not, and your kids don't have to be rugby players. They can be whatever sport. But one thing that I realize now that is off season for rugby, I see my son, he's not really, he's not really training as hard as I would want him to be. So I spoke to him and I said, man, where do you see yourself in this rugby thing? And he's obviously got big goals, and which is fantastic for a young fella. But then I think at those times as a parent you have to be supportive, but you also have to be not brutally, but be honest up front, because you don't want to lead your son down to a path that later on he might say, oh man, that was just waste of time, or maybe he would say, I was only doing it just for you, Dad. But yeah, I had a really serious talk with my son, and I guess we can all relate to that. I guess the point that I was trying to get across to my son was I wanted to make sure that he was doing this for himself. Like, I'm already pleased that he's picked rugby, but I said to him, man, do you want to try league or some other sport? Maybe basketball. Being young, it's only for a certain amount of time. And also keeping in mind in rugby, and these are all the things I said to him, you can, if you make it professionally in rugby, you only got to about age 35 to play the game. And I mean, if you stay fit and strong enough, you might end up like Manunu. I think Manunu, the legend, he's 40 years old. Big shout out to Ma, one of my favorites, and that I love to watch playing the game, especially in the position that I love to play myself. And so I said to my son, you can only play this game to about 35, or some people might not even reach it to that time, and they'll know it's time to hang up the boots. So I was trying to let my son know that although he's a young fella, he needs to choose his path wisely, because at the end of the day, rugby's not, unless you make it professionally and then think smart about what you're going to do with it to actually provide for your family afterwards, then I guess rugby will benefit you in the long run. But to play it as a person, you professionally, yeah, your peak will be gone by 32 or even 30 of that at the most. And so I just wanted to have that discussion with him, because I know that as a father and also as a coach, I have a lot of expectation upon him, and he's right. But then I also let him know that you do have other options. Rugby is not the only pathway out there for you to be great. You can be great just doing well at school, or I just wanted to let him know that, son, whatever you choose, whether you want to give up rugby, although as much as that will hurt, but I will support you 100%. I think as a parent, we got to remember that sometimes we have too much expectations on our kids, but we forget that our kids have high expectations of us as fathers and as parents as well, to support them in whatever they want to choose or do in life. And so it's one of those conversations that I think it's probably wise to have with our kids, especially as an island parent. Sometimes we feel like, mate, all islanders play rugby, so there's no other way for you. Is that you play rugby or you don't. Mind you, I've said that to my son. So but seeing him now growing in the game, and I just want to make sure that he's doing it for all the right reasons. And but he's only got very limited time to spend and play this game with his friends that he likes. And so I think that's one of the main reasons why they do go and play the game, even though if they don't make it anywhere. But if they make it anywhere, even if it's just playing good rugby for your local club or community, I think as a parent, you just got to be proud of that. Our kids might not be as athletic as other kids that we see around, but we got to give them the benefit, and we got to just compliment them for being the best they can. And so yeah, it's one of those conversations that I've had with my son, and I think that's one of the things that all parents should should have a conversation with their kids, just to make sure that they're doing the things that they're doing for them, and that you're there to back them up 100%. And so that was something that I just wanted to share with everyone. And maybe you might have had a conversation with your kids, or maybe that wasn't a good conversation at all to have. How did you have it, and what was the outcome? that'll be interesting to see if you guys have had that experience yet. And so at the end of the day, my son just turned around and said to me, "Nah, Dad, I'm all good. I want to play rugby, and I'm playing rugby for school as well, and I'm playing volleyball." And I'm like, "Oh, mate, like I'm excited." But I said to him, "Man, if you do realize if you get injured for one sport, you're not going to be able to play any of them." And so, there's sometimes, because our kids are very energetic, and that we just got to guide them in the right path. And I think once we know their potentials of being great at, then we can help build them and progress them in that sport. And then I said to him, and then once you make it professional in that sport, then you can be like Ishwell Folau and Sonny Bill Williams, that you have the choice to pick whichever sport you want to play, But for now, try and focus on one. But although, however, all sports, they do have coordinations that it does apply to rugby. So I wouldn't say, just focus on one. But what I mean is, if you know there's one that he's really good at, then you should really let them know that they can excel in that, and do your best as a parent to try and, provide them with the needs, so they actually get somewhere to whatever it is that they want to pursue. So that was an interesting conversation that I had with my son, and I thought that some of you guys might learn from then, and if not all good. That was just something I wanted to share with everyone. But I truly feel that sometimes we need to hear what our kids has to say. Sometimes they're just playing the game just for us, and at the end of the day, we'll be the happy one, and they're not, and we don't want our kids to go home, or let's say they lose the game, and like my son last year, he lost the grand final. Devastating. They lost by 1 point, and they were leading they came back in the second half, and they thought, we all thought that it was going to be it, but it wasn't meant to be. And I saw the devastation on my son's face, and it was pretty painful. But I just gave him a hug, and I said, "Man, I'll leave all my honest talks on the side. He doesn't need to hear that right now." I just said to him, and I just hugged him, and I said, "Hey man, I'm proud of you, son. You keep ripping it. It's all good. Learn from it, and we move forward." And say, that's when I realized that he really loved the game for himself, not for me. But there's always a conversation that we need to have every year to make sure that he's doing it for the right reasons. But anyway, family and whānau, I thought it was just a little something that I might share with everyone. So yeah, have a little chat with your little ones to see where their heart is at, and guide them the right way, and encourage them to be the best potential of themselves that they can be. All right, thank you for that. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for listening. And yeah, I'm gonna finish this video up, and then so I can get back and react to one of the videos that I had that I was planning on reacting to. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and do whatever it is if you want to help the brother out. All right, thank you. Bye.